Economic and financial challenges facing Nigeria's currency continues to linger despite several policies introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, the talk is all about the flexible foreign exchange regime being talked about by the CBN, and that's our focus today on Business Nigeria. Welcome. I am Yemisi Lanre Idu. The question for most Nigerians is how the government plans to get out of the current currency crisis. So many ideas have been tabled, and right now, the Bankers Committee says a framework to ensure a flexible foreign exchange rate policy is in the process. And according to the bankers, Nigerians should look out for a framework.
The Central Bank of Nigeria announced a flexible rate policy for the foreign exchange market in May, a development to allow market forces determine the naira's stand against the dollar. The monetary authorities are then assured that a framework for the policy's implementation will be made public shortly after. But the Bankers Committee reveals this process has yet to be finalized.
We want to make sure that we come up with a model that is very robust and very comprehensive, that will be able to address the major exchange rate issues that we've been dealing with. To this extent, we have gotten a lot of inputs from various stakeholders, and these inputs are being distilled with a view of getting a very robust, flexible exchange rate model.
Bankers Committee says a 60.5% financial inclusion rate has been achieved. It hopes to have pushed up this rate by 8% at the end of this year. This is ahead of an 80% target for the year 2020. The commercial banks now plan to extend more credit lines to microfinance banks for this purpose.
For example, the Anchor Borrower Scheme, which has been tried for rice in Kebbi, that same model, we now want to leverage that model and use it for other agricultural products and in other industries. Other sectors.
We're working on that to see how we can stimulate SME growth and development right down the value chain, whether it's agri, telecoms, power, education, health, and so on.
The banks reveal they're working out ways to minimize job losses in the banking sector following government's recent warning.
Banks understand the implications of people not being in employment. We know what the situation is like in the country. And so we're looking at ways of ensuring that we minimize any exits from our institution. There will always be exits, as you know. If there's fraud and so on and so forth, people will exit institutions. As a matter of fact, it's something which we had discussed in the past, where the governor prevailed on the banks to minimize any exits from the institutions.
The committee says the National Collateral Registry being developed by the Apex Bank will soon be available. It adds that a policy statement to that effect is in the pipeline. The Collateral Registry is to allow banks to register movable assets to lend against. The monetary authorities expect this initiative to increase the number of customers who benefit from bank loans. Lara Folayo, TVC News, Abuja.
Well, we have to put this further into perspective, and joining me via Skype from the U.S. is an economist, Professor Okechukwu Ayamile. He's been monitoring events in Nigeria. Hello, Professor. When the CBN rose from its MPC meeting, the last MPC meeting, one of the key decisions it made was that it was going to put in place a flexible foreign exchange policy. Now, the bankers, you must have listened to that report that we aired just now. What's your own understanding? Many people have tried to put meanings to this flexible foreign exchange policy. What's your understanding of it?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I think it's a welcome idea that at least the central bank and the bankers are thinking about introducing a new regime of foreign exchange, flexible exchange rate. That's a welcome idea. First, it will help the government as well as the ordinary entrepreneur and businesses to be able to know precisely that the government has a position of allowing the currency to be at least managed in a flexible way. This is encouraging news because it is difficult for foreign corporations to be able to stay in Nigeria continuously when they cannot repatriate their funds. So, in fact, if you look at the trends of events, you see that some of the airlines are already making plans to leave Nigeria. One of the reasons that they gave is that they are unable to get paid by the central bank. In other words, the payment structure is very slow, and paying $197 for naira for $1 when actually the price is different in the parallel market. It gives a lot of problem to most of these corporations. Therefore, some of them are leaving because it's no longer profitable. In business, you have to be profitable in order to be able to keep up with the market. So this is a welcomed initiative. But the problem is that this could have been addressed long ago to give the Nigerian economy a boost, given the slowdown that we're anticipating in economic activity in most of the developing countries.
Okay, if I may interrupt you then now, as the nation awaits the flexible FX policy, we could see that the naira slumped yesterday, exchanging at about 372 naira to the dollar. Now, don't you think this policy may be medicine after death?
Well, it's welcome, although it's late. Like I said, this should have been in place about a year ago. But nevertheless, it's a welcome news. What happens is that the naira may slump a little bit, but with time, it's going to stabilize. And once it gets perhaps a very good range between the flexible rate that they're talking about with the parallel rate, then it will be easier for people to go into business. Business people all over the world are afraid of uncertainty. And you don't want to operate under uncertainty. That is why it's very important to have policies articulated earlier on so that people can cue in on what the policies are and be able to work their ways out and know under what circumstances are they going to be producing in order to be profitable. So it's late, but it's also welcome that at least we're moving in that direction. One can always make a correction, even if they've made a mistake. But the most important is realizing that, now we need to move ahead.
Okay, in clear terms, if I would listen to you now in clear terms, what do you think that flexible foreign exchange policy would be?
Well, I cannot speculate. I'm not on the board. Therefore, I don't know what the thinking of the board is. But
if you were going to strategize, what would you be giving out to them?
Well, in a nutshell, they can. It depends on what is the policy of the administration. If we are pursuing import substitution policy, which it appears that is what the government is bent on doing or is doing. You have to peg the dollar, you have to peg the naira on the dollar, but give some kind of band where the difference between the equilibrium, the exchange rate equilibrium, will not be, the gap will not be so much. What that does is that it allows you to be able to source the heavy equipments and instruments and machineries that you need in order to expand your productive capacity, and at the same time limit the amount of foreign exchange that you expend in some unnecessary consumption goods for the country, in which case you're able to boost your productivity and therefore increase your industrialization.
All right. The one major problem the government has had across board has been the issue of lack of clear, comprehensive policy framework. In your assessment, how would you assess the present administration with the policy framework?
Well, to be blunt about it, there is none. They've been all over the map. They've moved from one. Today is one thing. The next day is another thing. If you recall, sometime about this time last year, or probably a little bit later, that the director of the IMF visited Nigeria, and quick after she left, we had a change of policy in the central bank. They said they were going to do certain things. They were going to allow certain things or be flexible. Well, after a while, they went back to their old policies. Look, Nigerian economy is the largest economy in Africa. And perhaps most of the sub-Saharan Africa take their cues from Nigerian economy. So it's very important that we get it right, so that all these other smaller economies that depend on Nigerian economy can also increase productivity. Look, if there is growth within the region, it is good for everybody.
All right, you talked about the IMF and when it came into the country and the CBN moving in line with what some of the decisions it talked about. Now, last week, just this week, I mean, the finance minister went to the UK to issue a $1 billion Eurobond. That's in the third quarter, and it was close to securing a $3 billion funding from the World Bank and, of course, the African Development Bank. What twist do you think this will bring to the table?
It will do a lot for the economy. In fact, it's also very good that we have somebody like Additional in African Development Bank. There are a lot of things that African Development Bank can do or help Nigeria do in terms of raising fund. So it's very important. There's also a welcome news that at least the Minister of Finance in Nigeria is moving in that direction. But in terms of the amount is very good. But with the size of Nigerian economy, Nigeria can borrow more in terms of leveraging or some of its goodwill to be able to do business. So I think they can offer more. They can offer more. But the most important thing is that people in government should be thinking the way that Fashola has articulated certain things in terms of being able to use some of the pension funds and other things as leverage with the African Development Bank in order to be able to build things. But also, when there is a change in government, you do not abandon policies because you are coming in or somebody is leaving out, unless those policies are not policies that add value to the government and to the economy of Nigeria. You do not change things just because you are coming in order to change things. That disrupts a lot of things. And not only that, it tells people or telegraphs to them that we are not serious for business. In other words, our institutions do not work. We depend on individuals coming in to change things. So it's very important that regardless of who is in government, that we have policies that add value to the economy rather than policies that changes based on individuals.
All right, just before I let you go, Nigerians await this policy on the flexible effects. Should we be worried? Should they be worried about the extent of the Naira's free fall and maybe a further fall, really?
No. Exchange rate basically is what? The price at which one currency purchases another. It depends on demand and supply. But more importantly, productivity in Nigeria is what will count. If we become productive more than we are right now, exchange rate will not matter. It doesn't matter in any economy. What matters is productivity. What can we produce to sell to others in order for us to earn foreign exchange? That is the most important thing. So we need to work on those areas, all those products that are exportable or tradable, so that we can increase our foreign earning capacity rather than depending on what the numeral is today or tomorrow, whether it's exchanging at $10, 20 naira per dollar, or 100 or 200 or 300. That does not in any way determine what productivity is. We need to increase our productivity so that our currency, our products, once other people start demanding our products, then our naira will strengthen, will have a stability.
Economist Okechukwu Ayemele, Professor Okechukwu Ayemele, I must thank you so much for your time on Business Nigeria.
Thank you, Larry. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, we'll take a break now on Business Nigeria. And when we come back, the Labour Union is threatening banks over mass sack. We'll have that for you after the break. Stay with us. You're watching Business Nigeria. The Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have threatened to picket companies and banks over the mass layoff of workers in the country. They made their threat known at the International Labour Conference holding in Geneva, Switzerland. And Sharon Ijason is there to cover the event.
The International Labour Organization, which was set up in 1919, has about 187 countries who come together to discuss about labour issues on a yearly basis. In Geneva, the labour leaders in Nigeria, which consist of TUC and NLC, came out in their numbers to react to the issue of mass sack in the country, especially the banking sector, multinational and also oil company. They also made strong statements towards telecommunication companies in Nigeria. They also said that multinational companies must learn to pay tax accordingly to ensure that the economy of the country is improved.
So, comrades, we assure you that we are going to do something about it. We'll liaise with our NSC counterpart to ensure that, even if it means us picketing these banks, just like they disobey the laws of collective bargaining when it comes to them redressing our members, we also show them that they are not in monopoly of law disobedience.
There is difference between mass sack and even the issue of hire and fire within the context of employment making. In this case, it's mass sack. And anywhere in the world, we can't allow a situation where these workers will be exploited or their right denied because of certain factors. We are aware of what is happening in the banking sector. They refuse unionization. If you refuse unionization and the issue is on the table, you can't come back and also say that these people are not unionized. They are Nigerians. And therefore, we must respect our laws. How best do we protect them? Do we allow employers to take advantage of the situation and continue to exploit them? In one of the banks, as of last year, those that they have disengaged, up till now, they have not even paid them. This is a fact. Do we allow the situation to continue? Is it not the same bank that we were able to get a bailout from federal government a few years ago? Is it not from public coffers? So what are we talking about? This is the reality, comrades. So the fact of defense being given by, what do you expect employers to do? They have to defend their position at all costs, but we have to also defend our workers at all costs.
Following this development, one can say that the labour sector might actually go on the street to picket these institutions. We don't know what is going to happen, because when the Minister of Labour came to the Geneva, he also made a strong statement that there is going to be a conference to bring everybody together to look for a way forward to ensure that we don't have much people leaving the employment sector in July. Sharon Ijason, TVC News, Geneva.
Well, that that meeting is coming over the layoff of workers as much in their hundreds by many banks in Nigeria. All right, now there are plans to privatize the Nigerian Ports Authority. That's as the Nigerian Senate makes move to transfer the powers of the NPA to a new agency. The action, as we said, is to prepare grounds for the privatization of the NPA, and the new agency would be named Nigerian Ports and Harbours Authority, having a governing body to be headed by the Transport Minister. The bill was sponsored by Senator Andy Uba, which will repeal the NPA Act of 2004. And the sponsors of the new bill believe that the coming agency will bring integrity to port operations. Well, let's see figures now at the oil market, the global oil market. For today, the OPEC basket crude is taking much attention from international oil dealers as its value is appreciating steadily. Early bargain on Friday shows $48 attached to a barrel of the crude brand. An analyst linked the rise in OPEC crude to uncertainty in supply logistics in Nigeria, a key member of the OPEC cartel. The European Brent trades lower at $51 per barrel, losing 47 cents in value. Well, with figures of crude price oil for today, that's Business Nigeria. Many thanks for watching. I am Yemisi Landredo.